You guys like to be efficient in general, right? Feels kind of good. We're going to do something that has 3 purposes. The first is people at the back who would really like to sit down. Hang on, this is almost your moment. If you've ever gone to any professional conference of any kind ever before, please stand up. People at the back, come find seats. Come on down. Seriously, you're not interrupting. Everybody's standing up anyway. Let these people find seats. If you have a seat next to you, raise your hand so they can sit down. Also, this has been a lot of darn sitting, right? So like shake it out a little bit, take a breath, laugh, smile, whatever you got to do. I'm vamping. Come on down. Seriously, find seats. Great. Okay, sit down, please. You've been to a professional conference before. So we're going to zoom out for just a few minutes so that you can really make the most of the day that you're about to have. And I want to ask you a question. Why'd you come? Not rhetorical. I want to know why you signed up for this conference. And although, check me if I'm wrong, several times in the last few weeks you thought, should I go? Right? Like, there's something coming up and maybe I should, no, I'm gonna hold that, I'm going. Ooh, but what if I did that? It'd give me a whole day to, our brain tries to get us to not do things. And not only introverts, you think, but no, extroverts too, all of us. That's how our brains work. So this really isn't a rhetorical question. I'm gonna do something not a ton of speakers do and ask the 4 or 5 of you who don't already have your phone in your hand to take it out, please. And go to a web browser, any web browser, because I would like you to answer this question. You can also just go to your camera, but if you prefer a web browser, or if I'm in the way of the QR code, I'm gonna come way over here. What you have to do is just go to menti.com, it's up there, menti.com, and put in that quote, or put in that number 8553-6128. 8553-6128. I'm a family doctor. I'm not an optometrist, so I just read you the numbers. And answer this question. Why'd you sign up and show up for this event? And it's anonymous, as you can tell, so you can be really honest. Hey, Tom, if it's easy, will you scroll down so we can see more answers? Tom's like, what, is she talking to me? Tom's the amazing guy who's helping run all of this tech back there. Woohoo, Tom, thank you. Okay, so meeting people, learn and network, interested in how to leverage AI, fantastic, great, awesome. So you're right, 15 to 20% of people when they leave a professional conference have increased motivation towards their work. Meeting people in person, 34 times more effective in building relationships and future opportunity. And using what you brought back from a conference allows you to reclaim 4 times as many days of work over the course of the next 6 months as the days that you missed. So if you missed a day or a day and a half or 2 days, depending on how far you came from to be here, or if you came from overseas, maybe you're like, it was a week and a half, that was fine, right? It is, because if you use it well, it's going to make a huge positive impact on what you do. But what does that really mean? And let me ask you a different question first. How have conferences failed you in the past? If you left this open on your phone, you should be able to answer me right there. Too siloed. Content sucked. Too boring. No food. They're boring. Topics are sometimes too vague, not enough creative discussion, too exec-heavy, information too broad. And now I'm going to ask you a question I'm not going to ask you to put up there. How have you failed you at conferences? So 84% of people bring negative emotions when they go to an off-site work thing for their own work or to a professional conference where they're with other people. A portion of that is travel stress. He said I was going to talk about stress, right? A portion of that is travel stress, but not all of it. You're going to content that might be too vague or too boring or too exec heavy. You're going to a bed you don't usually sleep in, or a commute you don't usually do, a room where you're just sitting and listening maybe. Now, not here, that's not the vibe. You're gonna see it, all the breakouts. It's about engaging, either actively listening or even better, talking and being really a part of the conversation. But then our brain does this thing where 24 hours after we leave a conference, we've forgotten 70% of the stuff we learned. And a week later, 90%, unless. And we're gonna focus on the unless. But the other thing is, every single person in this room has something called a busy mind burden, which means that about 25% of the time, you're distracted by everything from your grocery list to a text that came in to something that's happening where you aren't. And 25% of people say when they leave a professional event like this that they were so distracted through the day that they don't feel like they were really a part of any of it. Okay, so this is a metaphor. We're talking today about this conference, but I am also talking about experiences that you have when you're at an offsite for work or just, dare I say it, at work, right? You bring negative emotions, maybe not the travel stress, but everything else. What's it gonna be like today? Who's gonna say what? Is the stuff I need to get done? Somebody looked at me in the hallway, what do they need from me? Right? Or they didn't look at me in the hallway, why don't they need something from me? Because our brains are wired to be hyper-vigilant about change. I was so grateful that Justin talked about believing that you have the power to change something. And what I'm gonna talk about, and we're gonna talk about it more at the end of the day, I'm coming back to you at the end of the day to talk about how do you take something that you got from today and make change at work because of it. Because, and I'll say this to you again later, the problem with learning something amazing at a conference that you wanna bring back to work is that no matter what you say, no matter how incredible it is, what the people who stayed at work today hear is, I got to go to New York City and I found out what you're doing wrong. And I gotta tell you, doesn't go over well. So we're gonna talk later about how you get other people to actually join with you and buy in to changing something, no matter how small. But what I want you to remember is that your brain needs a little bit of hacking for today to be as worthwhile as it could be. This idea of stress, it is with us everywhere. What I know is that stress isn't toxic. How can I say that? I'm a family doctor. I see patients in the office and in the hospital. I even make house calls. And I see the negative impacts of stress on people's minds and bodies all the time. But stress is like any other chemical thing. Our brains have this physiologic range. This is as sciencey as I'm gonna get, I promise you. I'm not going off the reservation. We have a physiologic range is the range at which we can survive. So water, too little water for too long, what can happen? You can die. Thank you. Yes, very clear. You can die. Too little water, too long, you can die. You need just a little, couple of milliliters of water in a 24-hour period, probably keep you alive. You may or may not know that if you have too much water, gallons in just a few hours, you can also die. Right. That's the physiologic range. From a couple of milliliters, just a couple of drops, to gallons, you can survive. But you probably feel terrible at either end, right? Horribly bloated and can't bear to move, or very, very, very thirsty and out of it and confused and dehydrated. You have a more narrow, optimal range in the middle, where you might have 99 problems, but hydration ain't one. Where you are able to do whatever you want to do because your hydration status isn't in the way. Stress is the same. Too much stress, you can be freaking out, makes it very hard for you to concentrate, irritable, frustrated, drinking too much, you can even die. Too little stress, also dangerous. You're not making deadlines. You don't have anything that needs to get done. You've all worked with someone who was not stressed enough, right? Where you're like, this mattered. And raise your hand if you lead anyone, if you're anybody's boss. Okay, great. You might think, well, if my people are stressed, I'm not doing a good job. Wrong. You're like a coach. You don't want to stress them about every stupid thing, but if you don't tell them what matters, they have no way of knowing how to do a good job, and they never get any better. Stress is a tool, and every person has an optimal range in the middle, just like with water, where we're not too stressed and it's harming us, but we have enough stress to be focused on what matters, moving forward, knocking stuff off our to-do list, moving towards our goals, getting towards the life we want and the professional success that we're here for. How do you do that? The prescription, I'm a doctor, is resilience. So let's talk about briefly what that means. The ability to navigate change with intention and purpose towards a positive goal. Hey, I am honored when people take pictures, that's totally fine, but I have personally never once looked at a picture I've ever taken of a slide in a conference ever. So at the end, I'm gonna give you an opportunity, if you want to send me your email address through Menti, and it doesn't show up on the screen, and I'll send you the slides that we create, okay? So you have that. Now, let me ask you another question. What would make this trip worthwhile? Tell me a what or a who or a how. You don't have to name names. You can describe the connection you're looking for or the person you want to reconnect to. But what would make this conference, one thing that would make this conference worthwhile for you today? Find a new partner, have an aha moment, a partnership, new ideas, meeting with key clients, new business opportunities. Fantastic, strong connections, beneficial tools, a sale, love. This person said peers. Menti doesn't have spell check. I think they meant people, not docks that you bring ships up onto. Okay, make strong connections, meet with key clients, seeing vendors I like, connections. Nobody said the food, isn't that weird? Okay, great, so and the ones that are coming up tops, network, actionable new ideas, great, new business opportunity, fantastic. So here's what I wanna say, folks. Clarity is kindness. We are gonna get really clear, you're gonna do some work, I didn't make you take out your phone just for fun, on the who, the what, and the how. So who, like you said on there, who should you listen to or seek out or reconnect with today? Not just a connection. I'm gonna ask you to drill down and get real clarity so you know what success looks like for you today. And then what? What is a topic or what tool or what insight are you looking to hear about today, to think about today, to talk about today? How? How do you want to show up today? Do you want to be a little bit more open-minded than is your usual? Do you want to show up with curiosity? Do you want to show up with some charisma? Do you want to show up with some peace? You get to control that. Nobody here is evaluating you. You get to choose those things. So right now, you're going to make your plan. Remember how, for the last 3 days, Melissa has been sending out these incredible emails that says, hey, we have a Google Doc. And every session has a Google Doc and you can be taking notes. So go to that, and if you don't have it, it's on your name tag or up there. Go to the agenda right there, and it's on there. For my session, I want you to go to this session's notes because I've put an action plan at the bottom of that Google Drive, and I'm actually gonna give you 3 minutes, and I'm gonna ask you to be quiet because some people can't think. I know this is weird for the extroverts. Some people can't think when there's people talking. I'm gonna ask you to really think about 5 questions and jot yourself some notes. This is your opportunity to make sure that you don't have the 70% or the 90% loss. You don't have to worry about that because you know you have real clarity around when you zoom out, what is today for you? Not what are you bringing back to your people. We'll talk about that at the end of the day. What is this for you? If you're having trouble with the tech, if you can't find that form, I couldn't until I got help, please just raise your hand and one of us is gonna come around and help you find it. Oh, you're all showing off, but several people are lying. I just don't know who. Okay. Hey, Tom, if you have any music, that would be awesome. But I'm gonna actually give you 3 minutes to do this. And I'm going to look at you like a substitute teacher. Why I signed up, what I plan to learn, who I want to meet, what I need most. How am I going to show up today? Music, fantastic, thank you. Yeah, telling you. You got 1 more minute, and the goal here is not necessarily to answer all 5 questions, but to be as specific as you know how to be about at least a couple of them. Okay, one more thing to talk about, and that is, what about what you don't know, right? You don't know what you don't know that might show up today. You don't know how to be really specific about something that you haven't figured out yet. So you can be, as Justin taught us, really clear about the question. And this time was about getting that clarity, doing that work to be clear about your question. Because those strategies and those tools, they're in this room. All the answers that you need are here. Your work is in asking the correct questions. But what if, I teach medical students and residents in my medical practice, and I say to them all the time, you ask for what you're looking for, you only look for things you already know about. So what if there's something amazing that you don't yet know about? And the way you find that is through patterns. Patterns are your hack for getting smarter at your job while you're here and while you're at your work. So what do I mean? I mean, spotting patterns is all you need to focus on today besides getting your one question answered that you wrote down. The one person you want to meet, or whatever else, or the one idea, or the tool, or the strategy that you're looking for. When you can spot patterns, you build your own resilience. You decrease the negative impacts of stress because you're engaging, I'm not going to take you too deep into the science, but you're engaging your prefrontal cortex. Your ventromedial prefrontal cortex wants to know that you have control and agency. And you get more stressed, the more overwhelmed you feel, is due to a feeling of lack of control. Control in what's coming at you, what's being asked of you, the situations you can't control but you're expected to have agency over. When you look for patterns, you remind your brain, what I always have control over is what I notice. So I want you today to think about something you keep hearing, something you keep wondering, a topic that keeps coming up or a struggle that lots of other people, and this is in the transition connection times, this is at lunch, this is in the rooms. So some of it is about the topic of the session that you chose to go to, but a lot of it is going to happen in those conversations around that topic. What comes up over and over? So that's your other work today, is to notice some patterns. The goal is to be a strategist, not a sponge. The easier thing to do at the beginning of a conference is to be like, well, I'll just see what I hear. But then if it's vague, or then if it feels kind of boring, or if it doesn't feel like it's aimed at me, maybe I don't know, I picked the wrong session, or no. The question is, if you have clarity about what you want, you're gonna walk into a session and you're gonna be like, okay, what can I learn about this topic that I need to be able to do my job a little bit better, or to understand? You know, Justin asked a really good question. Why aren't you using AI to generate reports if you're not? And it might be about firewalls, but there may be some other reasons as well, right? Some cognitive reasons, some things getting in your way, or you don't think it's a good idea. Somebody's like, AI lies, it's not a reliable tool. Well, this is your chance to be a strategist, to interrogate that question or that assumption. Are you correct in that? What do some of your peers, some other people who are really knowledgeable about this, and more importantly, you know, I read Rob's email. Anybody else read his email every week? It's really good. This is not my industry, and I read it every week because he is always trying to connect. He's taking that lateral step, whether it's from Star Wars or Madrid, Spain, or Blazers, or whatever it is. He's looking at the world and always thinking, where could I get something over here that can inform me over there? And here, today, you can ask questions that you might not ask while you were at work, because there you have to be sure. You feel like you have to show confidence. And here you could show curiosity. But whatever's been making you uncomfortable, be a strategist today. Figure out if you're right and what you could be doing differently to help you with that. This is the time to go get it. Not to get everything, because then a week from now, you'll know that you had a great time today, but you won't be able to make a change based on it. If you're sitting there and you're thinking, I checked this box, I already got what I needed from Justin's keynote, then I want you to take whatever that thing is that you think you're going to move forward with, question it, talk to people about it, look for patterns, throw out how you might use it, go to his breakout follow-up and be like, I might use it this way, hear what other people have to say. You get to sharpen it. You get to enact your agency today, so that instead of today adding to your to-do list, it makes you stronger at the work you do. Have a great day.